Okay, showtime. So I was told I'm speaking about a beautiful concept on accounting. Before someone gets PTSD just thinking about numbers, I know many people don't like maths and would associate accounting and finance to a little bit of this. I'm not going to be talking about core accounting per se, but I'm here to discuss how we manage something valuable, right? And what that is our lives. And we're going to be exploring how some of the concepts in accounting can actually make our lives better. So that beautiful young man there, handsome guy, right, is actually me. Many years ago, growing up in Benin City. I would say it started about then. My mom sent me to get groceries, $100. Don't ask what year that is. I know inflation has killed a lot of this, right? And I was to get bread, eggs, and all that, right? I came back in and haven't successfully done that. And she said, damn, Daniel, you would make a fine accountant. And I thought, well, I'm not too sure what an accountant meant, but I took the words fine, right? And I think that still sticks. Right? So, anyways, today I'm going to tell you a little bit that what we do manage, anyways, is that every one of you, yes, you, is already managing a multinational, a company worth millions. You may not sit in a boardroom and you may not be managing a company as you know it, but indeed you're managing something called your life, incorporated. Another story. Permit me to digress a little. So I tell you a secret. If you promise not to tell anyone, I'll share. Good. I have a secret superpower. Numbers, they speak to me. Seriously. When I look at the financials of any company, I can tell whether it's going somewhere to happen and whether it's being run well or it's going to go nowhere anytime soon. And if you promise to be nice, I'll share some of these terms and languages that the finance or accounts speak to people, and we can see how it mirrors even in our day-to-day life. Let us simplify some of the common terms in finance that we know. One would be the budget. Every single year, most of us here make New Year resolutions or set aside some time in our lives to do some strategy, self-strategy sessions, right? In all of this, really, it's basically the same thing we're trying to mirror when we discuss a budget in accounting or finance. Likewise, if we're talking about income, it's really the value that you have created in all your daily doings, really. So, in reality, we already do these things every day in our lives. Next, we'll be looking at simple concepts. Really, it's our lifestyle decisions, the trade offs that we do. What do we sacrifice to get something else, right? It's really those are the expenses that you would count, even in your financials of any institution. And I'm going somewhere, and I'll tell you how this fits into our daily living. Likewise, I saw a Mercedes Benz at the car park. Someone drove it in here. If I look at the person's life, does he own the assets or the asset actually owns them? In terms of it's actually owned by a bank and is still paying off something on it, right? And next, we'll be looking at your, what we call the income generally, profit and loss. In our lives, if we're to mirror this, It's really the lessons learned, the effect of everything that we have put in through in our businesses, in our lives, and the resultant effects that have come out of it. So, one thing I must let you know is that whether you earn 5,000 naira or you earn 5 million naira, the principles really remain the same. It's just that the zeros get different. So next, I'll be telling you more stories, right? So I know my whole idea behind this is to make this more of storytelling and not to make everyone scared for numbers, right? So every debit and every credit really tells a lot about what matters best to you. Even your friends, they are either assets or their liabilities. I know you're thinking about your best friend sitting next to you now. Is he an asset or liability? Let me tell you about three ordinary people who teach us extraordinary financial lessons. First is Iya Basira, who sells tomatoes at the market. She wakes up at 5 a.m. every morning, arranges a stock, and tries to sell as much as she can. She rotates her inventory faster than most CEOs even do their own inventory. She has working capital management, but only that she calls it making sure the sea never runs dry. In essence, that her plate never goes empty, right? Next, I'll be speaking about Yahaya. You all know him, the guy who drives the Keke Napep, the tricycle at your junction. Every day he pays for some form of maintenance, he buys fuel, he keeps some funds aside, even to pay his investors, right? And he keeps a little bit for him to travel at some point in the year back up north for when he goes for the planting season. What he's literally doing is cost management and cash flow forecasting. Likewise, we have Mrs. Osadebe, a teacher. Every month, she saves 2,000 naira from her salary, keeping some resources for the next term when she has to buy a uniform for her daughter, right? That's not small charges. It's really what we call in accounting accrual. She's keeping provisions aside that she will use later on and recognizing future obligations today. You see, in essence, from this story, all I'm trying to say is that financial literacy doesn't just live in textbooks, it actually lives in decisions that we make. It actually lives in you. In all these things, we see that financial literacy is not really about algebra, it's about awareness. It's your inflows, your outflows, and the whys of your life, right? Because numbers, they always tell the story. And if you listen long enough, they tell you the truth about our lives and the whys that are driving this. So, in my world, sometimes I imagine where everyone keeps a life ledger, not of money, but of meaning. We record our emotional incomes, the kindness we receive, the lessons learned, and our expenses, the time wasted, opportunities lost. And if we review this monthly and we ask, am I investing in things that appreciate or things that depreciate? Because just like a company, if your life has assets that are not being maintained, like your health, your integrity, your relationships, if you neglect them, they begin to depreciate faster than the vehicles, the brand new vehicles we buy that we use on the Lagos roads. I'm not saying the roads are bad, right? But if you nurture them and you create compounding interest in joy in all those things. The wealthiest people are not those who have more, but they are those who have learned to manage things better. Their time, their resources, and of course, the attention that they give to different items in their life. What adds to your life's value and what actually quietly drains it? I'll speak about that every decision we make has a financial echo. When you buy something you don't need, you're actually borrowing from your future proceeds, your future peace of mind. So in these terms, I would like to introduce a concept to you called the return on intention. Before you make any decision, the question you should ask is, does this bring me peace? Does this move me toward progress? And does this align with my purpose? If it scores 2 out of 3, maybe yes. If it scores 0, it's really an expense disguised as an opportunity. Likewise, if I look at another concept, really is the time, right? If we look at the average lifespan of humans today, it's stated to be 75 years. In Nigeria, more like 54 years. So if I look in the audience, I believe 60% may have lived 80% of their lives already. Did I hear someone in the audience say Tufiakwa? Why? In all honesty, we're told this is an international platform, so we don't use such languages here, right? So I actually meant to feed the aqua, right? Which means casting your bread onto the waters, diversifying your portfolio, right? But in reality, we all get 24 hours. We all get 24 hours. Some people spend it, some invest it, and others borrow from tomorrow. How do you manage your time budget? Because unlike money, time doesn't get a refund. Indeed, time is your ultimate currency. Spend it wisely. At the end of each month, companies close their books, and maybe we should too. Did we invest in people that we love? Did we pay the debts of regrets? Did we deposit into hopes for investments into our future? When you think of life through those lenses, really, finance becomes something beautiful, a mirror for living deliberately. You are the chief financial officer of your own existence. You may not sit in a boardroom, but you sign the budget for your life every single day when you wake up. And when you realize that, you will stop living accidentally and start accounting purposefully for your life. So, in closing this presentation, I want the major takeaway to be that you are the CFO of your own life. So the next time someone asks you, what do you do for a living? I want you to smile, square up your shoulders, and say, I run a multinational. My life unlimited. Thank you.